let's move on to the second place Giants, who have had a up and down year to start as well. It's kind of been like a really weird year for them because you look at their numbers and you're not overly impressed, but they find themselves one game under 500 and they just won a series against the Pirates. I don't know what their next series coming up is, but yeah, I mean the team is still trying to find its footing. A lot of new pieces in there, and a lot to ask. But Will, offensively, like you look at their stats, they've kind of been just so average everywhere. Why are they where they're at right now?
Timely hitting and a good rotation. Top end right now. We can talk about Blake Snell and how Blake Snell is worst thing known to man right now and hurt. But Logan Webb is looking like another Cy Young candidate, and Jordan Hicks is on another planet right now with how he's performing as a starter. That was a huge question mark entering the season, was how successful Hicks could be. His ERA is sub 2 right now, among the best in baseball. And with him being an ace, you don't necessarily need Snell to be the guy because you have your top two guys right now in Webb and Hicks, and you got your young pitchers and Wynn and Harrison behind them, not doing too bad themselves, with I think a mid-3 ERA for Wynn and a low 4s for Harrison. That right there, if you had told me your top four guys are sub 2, sub 3, and then 3.5, 4 ERAs, that's a great looking top four in the rotation. Offensively, they're getting some nice contributions from Patrick Bailey, especially came in the clutch, Tyler, as you know, recently in that
Don't
series.
even. Don't do it.
No, I'll leave my piece there. But also, Lamonte Wade is stepping up, especially with Wilmer Flores not doing as well. And there are signs from Michael Conforto that he might be finding some of his form from when he was with the Mets. So the Giants are very mid in a lot of categories, offensively and even pitching wise, because of the bullpen, which is a bit of a shocker. You can thank the rotation for where they're at now. You can hope that Chapman and Soler will bat a little bit better, though Soler does have the power numbers right now. I'm not sure it's sustainable. I have to really dig deep and see how many of these people I think can truly perform at the level they're at for the entire season. Yes, they have pitchers coming back, which will help, but they still have a lot of inconsistencies that they were hoping to heal up with their moves in the offseason.
I mean, as we kind of mentioned, right? Like, again, so average offensively. 14th in the majors on batting average, 18th in on base percentage, 17th in slugging, 20th in home runs. Like, average or below average in a lot of those categories. And again, you look at their team, and obviously their pitching has been good. At least their starters have been good, but it's like, man, you kind of don't expect them to be 14 and 15. You'd expect a few more losses on that card. Um, John, I want to talk to you about the big acquisition from, or one of the big acquisitions from the Giants not that long ago in Blake Snell. It has not been the, Blake Snell we've seen last year, which has been a theme in his career, the Cy Young last year, but he's starting out with an 11.57 ERA in 11 and two-thirds innings. He hasn't gone above 5 innings in all three starts, and he's allowed 3 earned runs in all those 3 starts. With all that lovely information being said, what is happening with him? And do you think that him not being in spring training is affecting these numbers, and also the injury he just sustained?
So, can you remind me again of what specifics of the injury there are?
So it
With
is
this,
a. I just had it. Hold on, give me 1 second. It was a uh, abductor strain. So take that as you will.
okay. So I think his numbers are showing Snell was not ready for this for the season. Clearly he needed. Clearly he needed time. He didn't, didn't get it Boris messed up. What didn't Snell? Was it Snell that fired Boris, or was it Montgomery?
Montgomery, I
Montgomery.
believe, did.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was not a good off season for Boris clients. It. I'm looking at Snell's numbers here. 1157 is standing out to me here with his ERA. No wins, all losses. It's it's a bit, not what you want from your star signing, and not what you want from your star player, clearly. So when it comes down to Snell, you're kind of left with, well, you're left with a lot more questions. Did we overpay? Is he still hurt? Is he hurt more than he's letting on? Is he this? Is he that? Is all of this the case? You know, when it comes to a pitcher that is the star power of Blake Snell, you would hope that you pay for what you get, and you would hope that he would have a sub 2 ERA at this point in the season, but that's just not the case.
Yeah, it has not been the case indeed. And, obviously it's early, still a lot of time to turn around. Again, I just wonder him not playing in the spring training, getting that late start, how it's affecting him, because it has not been good. But yeah,
I wonder if this is a true injury, or if it's them trying to give this man some more work here.
I was gonna say, yeah, you heard his pride. No,
His
I
pride was hurt
think
more than his abductor, but
yeah,
maybe it's
again,
a real injury. 15-day IL. It wasn't. Clearly something is wrong.
yeah, and look, I think, is there time for him to turn around? Obviously, right, but this is the problem we've seen with Blake Snell, is his career has been so up and down. He'll have a Cy Young winning season, and then the next season will come back and have like a 5.5 ERA. Like, it's just, that's the worrying part about him. And right now, that's what we're kind of looking at with him at this point in time, and that's where it gets a little bit scary for them. A pitcher that has been doing very well for them that I want your opinion on, Will, is Jordan Hicks. I think we touched on him in the preseason show with, this is a guy coming over from being in a reliever role for his entire career. This is a guy back in the day that was throwing 102, 103 consistently, and he now slides into the starting role here in San Francisco. The contract was also an interesting point of contention with him, but he's been really, really good for them. Like, I mean, you're definitely getting, at this point, your bang for your buck with him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he hasn't been a starting pitcher since he was a minor league prospect with the Cardinals. They brought him up and put him in the back end of the bullpen. You just got to be thankful for what you got, is all I feel. Like, you put 4 years on this guy, so they saw something, or they believe something could come out of the situation. I feel like it was, if Hicks was failing as a starter, maybe he would have agreed to go back into the bullpen. You just got to tip your cap and say, keep it up, because he's doing exactly what you wanted from Blake Snell. And so you feel pretty good about the situation of the team now that you do have two guys leading your rotation.
And as you said, look, their backing, or not their backing guys, excuse me, their 4 or 5 starters, Kyle Harrison, Keaton Winn, they've been good enough, right? For young guys, they've been really good. Logan Webb is going to be one of those Cy Young candidates. They're up there once again. He's just so good, man. 2.33 ERA in 38 and 2/3 innings. And the whole thing with him is what you're going to get with Logan Webb is soft contact, right? Or not giving up hard contact. I found this stat interesting. He is 8th best in the majors among qualified starters in avoiding hard contact, or his hard hit contact percentage is the lowest, and that's what you get from him. You're going to get easy plays for the fielders. He's not a huge strikeout guy, but he is just going to get those outs, and he is one of the best pitchers for sure in the NL. Now, the problem with the Giants at this point in time, their offense has been mid. Their starting pitching has been pretty good, their bullpen is atrocious. They are worse than the MLB right now at a 5.60 ERA. And I do want to say, as bad as their numbers look, there is a little bit of I think it's inflated a little bit because I was looking. I think there's a guy with like a 12 ERA that they have since sent down on that list, but man, that's not been great. And this is something that we talked about them, which we thought it could be a strength for them, and it's certainly not. John, how can they kind of ride this wave with the bullpen when their starters have been so good?
I mean, hope to get more depth out of your starters.
Yeah.
Honestly, hope they can get deeper in games. I think the Giants they might need to make a move. I mean, it their bullpen is really hurting them. For honestly, like you have the closer who has a 3.38 ERA. That's not what you want from a closer, especially at the end of April. You have Ryan Walker who is 281. Okay, that's fine, but then you have Eric Miller 554. Well, like, that's not what is it's not that their offense is mid, it's that they can't keep up in a foot race. When you score 6 but you give up 7, it's a little hard to win games, especially against a team like the Dodgers, like the Padres. Regardless of what we think about them, they're still good teams and they have star players, you know.
Yeah,
So
and no, sorry.
no, you're good. It's just when it comes down to the Giants, you have to do something. You had to fix something, and their first, what was it, two, their first 3 series were against the Padres, Dodgers, and Padres here. So you have that there as well. It's you got to take that into account, but at this point, those numbers need to come down. Their offense, I think, will, as it warms up, will get better. Uh, maybe I think what would be good for them is to have a guy like Yaz hit over 300. That'd be good. A guy who's been there a long time and has a foothold in the organization as a leader for them, and have something there offensively, and I think they'll figure that out. But this bullpen, they've got to figure that out.
Yeah. And look, this is a division that we've talked about. It's going to be a coin toss for a lot of these interdivision matchups outside of outside of the Dodgers and Rockies. Like, but when you have the Padres Giants, it's such a coin flip. When you have the Giants and D-backs, it's such a coin flip. So, they had a lot of those series early in the year, and maybe their record would be a little bit better. But I mean, I think that it's just funny. You kind of look at their numbers right now, and to me, it looks like they're more of like a 12 or 13 win team than they are at 14, and again, only one game under 500. Will, any last thoughts on the Giants?
So what I'm going to say in answer to that bullpen remark, I think the Giants bullpen is wrongly portrayed partially because of it's early in the season and blowouts can ruin a relief pitcher's ERA. For example, Landon Raup, who has a Roop, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's probably Roop. Has a 6.17 ERA, 9 games. He's given up 7 runs, I believe it was, and 6 earned in his last 2 outings. Other than that, he's given up 1 in like over 5 or 6 outings. So that blew up his ERA. Duvall's a 1-inning type of guy. He's given up runs in 3 of his 10 outings. So he's been fine 70% of the time, and one of those times he gave up more than 1 run. The Giants are in a situation where you have probably 3 or 4 guys you feel okay with in the back end. One of them I'd even say is Taylor Rogers, even though his ERA is above 4. So they're just having some situations where, unfortunately, when there's some runs given up, they tend to be a bit messy. I do feel like the Giants bullpen will right their ship a bit and solidify the pitching situation. I do think John is correct with the keeping up aspect of it. You'd like for your offense to give your pitching a little bit more protection And it seems like the Giants, at least a couple times right now, haven't been able to hold close leads late in games. But I feel the bullpen will do its job later on in the season. I'm not confident that the offense is able to pick up any more than what they're at right now.
And as you said, these numbers get skewed with bullpens early, and I was kind of looking at that too because I know I believe it was Taylor Rogers, as you said, it was kind of having a rough start to the year, but again, I know he had a couple bad outings and stuff like that. So I think the Giants, as we've kind of alluded to, there's room for them to grow, and I think there is a chance that they will, but I think the big thing that we'll continue to touch on with these next two teams, with the Giants, the D-backs, and the Padres, you have to kind of find a way to separate yourselves from each other and kind of steer away. We know how good the Dodgers are going to be, but you have to find a way to continually beat those teams I just mentioned and kind of separate yourself. Obviously, right now it is so congested because we're still in April, but I guess my question is who will pull away kind of first. So we'll have to see.